Welcome to The Explainer. You know that moment in an interview, they ask, tell me about a time when, and your mind just goes completely blank? Well, today, we're going to fix that. We're diving into a simple but really powerful storytelling tool that will make your professional stories absolutely shine.
So let's start with a situation that, well, it might feel a little too familiar for some of us. It's a moment we all kind of dread.
Okay, so picture this. You're in a job interview, right? Things are going great, the pressure's on, and then the hiring manager leans in and hits you with it. That classic behavioral question.
And what happens next? Yeah, for a lot of us, our minds just freeze. We end up rambling, we lose the thread of our own story, and we totally fail to make a clear, impactful point. It's just a mess.
But what if there was a better way? A simple mental framework you could use to bring some structure to that chaos and deliver a clear, concise, and really impactful story every single time.
Well, there is, and that is your new secret weapon. It's a simple but brilliant technique called the STAR method.
You can think of the STAR method as your own personal storytelling coach. It's this amazing tool that helps you prove your skills using real-world evidence, especially when the stakes are high, you know? It keeps you on track, stops you from rambling, and helps you make your point with way more confidence.
So, what does STAR actually stand for? Let's break this method down. It's an acronym and it stands for Situation, Task, Action, and Result. And these are really the four essential parts of any great story, giving you this perfect, simple structure to follow.
See, it creates this perfect little narrative flow. You start with the situation. That's where you briefly set the scene. Then comes the task, where you explain what your goal was. After that, you get into the action, the specific steps you took. And finally, you wrap it all up with the result, sharing the outcome of everything you did.
Okay, now, this is really, really important. The action part is where you have to shine. It's not about what we did as a team. Nope, it's about what you specifically did. You've got to use strong I statements here. It's absolutely crucial for taking ownership of your work. All right, so theory is one thing, but let's see how this actually works in practice, right? Let's walk through a real-world example to see the STAR method in action. So imagine you're asked this super common question. Tell me about a time you had to handle a difficult situation. Instead of that little spike of panic, you can just calmly use the STAR method. Here's exactly how it would sound.
So first up, you set the scene with the situation. You'd say something like this. In my previous role, I was the project lead for a new software launch. 2 weeks before go-live, we discovered a critical bug that would impact our largest client. Boom! Right away, the stakes are high and the context is clear.
Next up, the task. You clarify your specific responsibilities. My task was twofold. First, to ensure the bug was fixed without delaying the launch, and second, to manage communication with the client so we didn't lose their trust. See? Your role in the story is now crystal clear. And now for the most important part, the action. Listen to how this is phrased. I immediately organized a meeting. I then created a focused work plan. I proactively contacted our client. See those powerful I statements? This is all about the specific proactive steps you took to solve the problem.
And finally, you share the result, wrapping up the story with a positive, tangible outcome. As a result, the team fixed the bug with a day to spare. The client actually thanked us for our honesty. The launch went smoothly, and we ended up strengthening our relationship. A perfect ending.
But you know what? We can make that result even more powerful. Here's the key tip. The best stories don't just state the outcome, they prove it with numbers. Quantifying your results whenever possible is what makes them really, truly impressive.
So in this case, the client didn't just thank them. What if, because of your direct actions, that client signed a 2-year contract extension? Now that turns a good outcome into a fantastic, measurable one. It's unforgettable.
So now that you've seen how powerful this is, how can you make this method your own? How can you start mastering your story? Let's do a super quick recap. Remember, S, situation, set the scene. T, task, explain your goal. A, action, describe what you did. And R, result, share the outcome, and hey, quantify it if you can. It's that simple.
And this isn't just for interviews. This is for any time you need to prove your value. Think performance reviews, team meetings, project updates. Anytime you need to demonstrate your skills with actual evidence, this framework is your go-to. The real key here is just a little bit of prep.
So start thinking about your own accomplishments and frame them using this STAR structure. Once you have a few of these stories in your back pocket, you'll be ready to confidently share your accomplishments in pretty much any situation. So that really just leaves one question. What's the next story you're going to tell?